Hello and welcome to a video introducing the Design and Technology ITE course at the University of Sussex. My name is Mark Norris and I'm the lecturer in Design and Technology Education at the University of Sussex. I teach alongside James Sansom Costantini, who is the head of the department at Backer School just over the road. In this session we'll be covering what it's like to be a teacher of design and technology, what kind of subject knowledge and skills are needed, what to expect at Sussex and how DT is taught, what we are looking for in DT teachers, and how can you prepare for the course and for an interview should you get one. So, what's it like to be a teacher of design and technology? I think the main thing is that it's I would say this, I suppose, it's the best subject to teach in secondary school, in my opinion. It's got creative elements. The students really enjoy the practical and hands-on element, as well as the design. And it's a job that changes from day to day, from minute to minute. It really doesn't get boring. You don't sit still. You can be setting up a practical lesson lesson and then having some really deep investigative design work with another class the next. It moves very quickly from one area of the subject to another. It's highly rewarding and highly demanding. As I mentioned previously, talking about the last bullet point, one of the real strengths of the subject is it's a chance to see and foster creativity within young people. So if you are coming from a creative background, be that with textiles, graphics, resistant materials, product design, whatever, and you want to see a way to share those skills with younger people, this could be the subject for you. What kind of subject knowledge and skills are needed for teaching design and technology? At both Key Stages 3 and 4, it has a very broad curriculum. A little like science, there are a number of elements that go towards the design and technology department in most schools that you go into at the moment. Certainly, almost every school you go into will teach some form of product design and resistant materials, both at Key Stage 3, that's lower school, years 7, 8 and 9, 7 and 8, and moving on to GCSE level as well, they will more than likely have a product design or resistant materials GCSE running up and running. So if you're coming from a theatre design, set design, architecture, product design, 3D design background, that's the sort of area that lends you towards teaching this area of the subject. It's also often taught at Key Stage 4 and certainly definitely taught at Key Stage 3 in most schools would be some element of electronics, control systems design. Graphics and graphic products is another subject which is regularly taught at Key Stage 3. Certainly graphic communication and isometric skills will definitely be taught. And a number of schools will also offer the Design and Technology GCSE through a graphics and graphic products route. However, this is also taught through an art route, which doesn't have an exam component in some schools. In a similar situation to the to the graphics route is textiles, which is a subject which is often taught at Key Stage 3 in many schools within Design and Technology, and then can be taught through the GCSE route of Design and Technology. However, in some schools, again, this is taught through an art route, which doesn't have an exam component or a coursework component, which is known as NEA. All of these materials areas are now covered in one single Design and Technology GCSE. So the design component or non-exam assessment component, which is often thought of as coursework, which will be taking up half of your time in year 11, something like that, can be taught through any one of these routes. As I say, product design and resistant materials in most schools, and the other three areas in some schools. When it comes to the exam, excuse me, email coming in. When it comes to the exam, there will be knowledge covering all of those areas, certainly electronic products and control systems. However, most of the exam is general design skills, and but you would need to be able to deliver some of those other product areas teaching at GCSE level as well as within your specialism. Many schools have BTEC and other level 2 qualifications as well in areas such as engineering, construction and building, but not all schools. But certainly if you're coming from an engineering background, you will find many schools that feed into an engineering BTEC and other level 2 qualifications. Some schools also do more functional skills regarding designing and making or around construction that don't lead to a level 2 qualification, and also some in cookery and hospitality and catering. Key Stage 3 curriculum also includes food preparation and nutrition. There's going to be a little bit more on the slide on that, but it's kind of got a separate part of the curriculum detailing the skills of preparing mostly savoury dishes and knowledge of nutrition and some knowledge also around making ethical choices. That's definitely covered in all schools at Key Stage 3, and all schools will have some sort of food provision at Key Stage 3. For Key Stage 4, the subject becomes a separate GCSE. Again, food preparation and nutrition is usually housed within the DT department in most schools. However, some schools may put it within PSE or even within the faculty for PE and healthy living. There'll be more on the food subject on the next slide. Just a brief word about food preparation and nutrition. At Sussex, we do include the chance to train to teach in food preparation and nutrition within our DT ITE course. Indeed, I still teach 2.5 days a week in a local school, and my current specialism within school is in food preparation and nutrition. The Food Teacher Centre is currently leading a national recruitment drive encouraging food specialists to train to teach, and you might well have found your way to us through that recruitment drive. So if not, you might want to go and have a look at some of the information they've got uploaded as well at the foodteachercentre.co.uk. And also, if you have come to us from the route of the Food Teacher Centre recruitment drive, I'd really like to know if you could drop me an email. My email will be on the last slide of this presentation. Just let me know that you've come to us through that Food Teacher Centre recruitment. I can share that with the team at the Food Teacher Centre because they'd love to know. That's what I just said there. There's my email. So just a little bit now about what to expect at Sussex and how DT is taught. Hopefully you've had a chance within the recruitment section to catch up on some of the more general videos about the structure of the course, how it's assessed, and so on and so forth. And you're aware that Fridays at Sussex is time for professional studies in the morning, which is general pedagogy and understanding of educational issues. And then in the afternoons, you spend your time in subject areas with myself or James Sanson Costantini. So I'm just going to talk you briefly through how that looks. We do link DT specifically in the pedagogy and learning theories, so lesson planning, structure, assessment, uses data, differentiated instruction, and that will generally be linked to whichever the theme was in your professional studies session in the morning, but we'll link more specifically with how you're going to relate that to your practice in schools. We look at behaviour for learning, obviously, and classroom management, and in preparation for some of the assessed work like the APK and the RPK, we linked some of the current literature, pedagogy and learning theories to the subject of DT, both to get you thinking about how you can link those in with your teaching, but also to help you in preparation for the assessments. So those two assessments, just as a reminder, the APK and RPK, but hopefully you've looked at those a little bit in some of the other information on the Sussex website. We also like to teach specific D&T knowledge and skills. We do a project just on creativity, so it's a non-making task where we focus really on how we teach the iterative approach to young people and how we can get the most creative outcomes. You will also get practical inputs, so workshop inputs, if you like, on not just use of tools and equipment and machinery, but really how we teach the use of those processes and those tools, equipment, and machinery to young people in schools, both thinking about safety, but also thinking about how to get an effective outcome when working with younger people. That will be at Backer School, which I say is about 15 minutes walk from the campus, just over the road at Falmouth. You also will, throughout the year, develop a portfolio showing skills that you've developed throughout the year. As I say, D&T is a very broad subject area, and we really do encourage all of our trainees to take the time to teach outside of their specialist areas and develop those skills outside of their specialist areas, as well as further enhancing their skills to teach within their specialist areas. As part of that, you will develop a portfolio showing that skills development. How can you prepare for the course and for an interview? Ahead of the interview, it really is a good idea to familiarise yourself with what DT looks like now in schools, especially with regards to recent changes to the DT specification. That will be something we'll be discussing within the interview. And it's really good to know what you're going to be teaching, especially if it's been a few years since you've been in school, because there's been quite a lot of changes within the subject area, both for design technology and food and nutrition in the last few years. So have a look at the national curriculum, have a look at how the DT GCSE specifications have changed. If you know anyone within teaching, or you're able to speak to anyone in the school, that's a great way to do that as well. It's a good idea to read the Times Educational Supplement and keep abreast of news developments within education in general, but also to see if anything's happening within DT education in secondary schools, as it's a fast changing area. Again, just to reiterate, try and find out what's happening in secondary schools near you. Get in touch with your local school. Ask them after COVID restrictions have eased, possibly they might be taking visitors to come in again and have a look around departments. It's a great idea if you haven't been in school for a few years. And even if you have recently, I think it's good to go back in and, with a fresh set of eyes, look at what teaching and learning looks like now in DT within schools. Prior to the course itself, in the past, we have had the option to do a subject knowledge enhancement course, which was backed by the government. It's unsure whether that's going to be funded this year, but certainly we will be putting something in place for potential people coming onto the course to develop their knowledge both within their specialism, so thinking about how your specialism is taught, but also about addressing gaps of knowledge outside of specialism, so that, for argument's sake, if you come from a product design background, you might be ready to teach a little bit of textiles or graphics or food at Key Stage 3, because that's something we really encourage. So if the SKE goes ahead, we'll find out more about that at Christmas. We certainly encourage many of our trainees to do that. If not, we will be putting something in place to enable you to gain that extra skills and experience before you start the course. Ahead of that as well, there is also a good list of pre-course reading with DT-specific pedagogy and learning theories to, again, help you be classroom ready, so that when you go in, you understand some of the elements of teaching and learning that take place in schools these days. I'd also recommend that you join the Design and Technology Association and STEM shortly before joining the course, both of which are free for students. So Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's presentation. I look forward to seeing some of you at interview and seeing your applications. And don't forget, if you've got any questions ahead of applying or ahead of interview, you can always contact me on my email, which is below. Thank you so much.